Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our next session, our next Unchained AMA session. Really looking forward to this one. This is someone who I have spoken to a lot while I've been in the industry. Fantastic host of the NFT and Chill Best in NFT Media nominated NFT and Chill podcast. I'd like to bring on stage our latest guest, Ty Greenfield. Ty, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all. It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. Bit of a shoddy intro from my part. I'm sure you can do a better job yourself. So how about we start off there? Why don't you introduce yourself to our community and everyone who's watching at home?
Yeah, absolutely. I am Ty Greenfield. I go by the mayor in kind of my Web3 identity, but I'm the host and creator of NFT and Chill. It was nominated Best NFT Media at NFT NYC. It's been heard by over 150,000 people worldwide. It's in the top 50 in over 30 countries. It's also in the top 2% of all podcasts in terms of listenership. Yeah, so it's kind of a whirlwind, but a lot of that is thanks to everybody who's listening and supporting the show. They've been absolutely huge and much appreciated. I'm also a Web3 consultant for a number of agencies where I help, create strategy with marketing, social media management, community building, and I host weekly Twitter Spaces. I'm a content contributor for Wendrop, and I've also held many jobs in the NFT side on like the front end, community manager, project manager, social media, you name it. So that's my intro.
Fantastic. No, I appreciate it. I know kind of how much you do within the industry, and you're all over the place, but in the best possible way. So no, it's great to have you here today, and we're looking forward to this discussion. Obviously, you've come from you have the podcast now. You've been in the space for a while. I think probably the best space, kind of the best place for us to start is kind of your background and what's kind of led you to where you are today. I'm sure it's an interesting story.
Yeah, absolutely. My background is in e-commerce, social media management, marketing on the Web2 side. And I was, big into stocks, and that's how I found cryptocurrency the last few years. And then, the whole meme stock, like AMC, GameStop, and Dogecoin, and all that stuff started happening. And I got into NFTs through an email, I think, from OpenSea. So, and then a few of my friends were involved as well, and we started, buying and selling NFTs. That was almost 2 years ago. So then I got really involved with this community, this project, Base Fish Mafia. I love the artist; he's a real world artist, and I took over the social media management and helped them boost their Instagram, and then from there was the community manager. So they hired internally, like from like active community members, which can be really good for NFT projects. And then I started getting on podcasts to promote the project. I've probably done like 9 or 10 podcasts as a guest, and people kept telling me I should start my own. So I did, and it took off like out of nowhere. It was surprising to me, but really it's because of the community. I mean, the people from the Base Fish Mafia community were just kept pushing me to make episodes and wanted more episodes, even in times of imposter syndrome set in, like because I'd never done it before. But they kept pushing me to have them come out, and that's what I owe the podcast success, is the people listening, the support from the community. So yeah, that's where I got to today. I've done also a lot of speaking events. That's where I met you, the Global NFT Summit. I was a speaker there, and DecentralCon, the DeFi Summit, the Digital Currency Summit. I should be at DecentralCon in Miami during Art Basel Week, so I'm excited for that. So yeah, that's my another intro.
No, absolutely. No, and I've always loved the story. I think it's super interesting. I think it's a real everyone's got a different story in this space. And people come from, you got people who come from the finance world, people who come from the marketing space, people who come from the art world or the music world, but everyone's story is a little different, so it's always nice to hear that sort of thing. I wanted to touch on your marketing background to kind of start things off here, because the community building side of things, with a Web3 project is massive. It's a daunting space. It's a big boy world, and you've got to try and make yourself shine and make yourself stand out. So, I mean, from a marketing and NFT specific marketing, what are your real sort of tips for success?
Yeah, that's a great question. Marketing and community building kind of go hand in hand, but they're also the most difficult things to do in this space. And it's a lot different from Web 2, where it's more of like a macro sense, to where you can put ads up on YouTube or just anywhere and kind of not really set it for and forget it, but I mean, people will check them out. In this space, it's more personal. People are doing research because they want to know what the project is. They want to know the background, what the mission is. They want to know who the creators are, who the founders are, and who the team is, and why they're doing it. So it's a little bit more face to face. It's a little bit more, why, especially now where we are in the space. The experienced people in NFTs have been in for the last year, maybe 2 years, even more. So they have their discords, they have their projects that they're involved in, and they can call home, and have built relationships and all of that. So especially for new projects, it's extremely difficult, because it's like, I have 15 to 20 discords that I'm active in. So why do I need another one? What is different from that community? What sets it apart? So the community the space right now is lacking innovation. It's lacking utility that stands out. That's not a game. Staking, DAOs, all of that's been done, and it's all duplicated. So, it's very difficult for new projects right now. You have to, really be involved, and you have to really, nurture that community, because also the market is in a tough spot too. So in terms of marketing, you know, it's difficult. Twitter Spaces are kind of still the best way to get people into your community. And it's going to be, I always tell people when I consult on a project or something, that you need to be patient, because it can take anywhere from 3 to 9 months to build a community to where you're comfortable enough to drop an NFT.
Yeah.
And right now, with the market and the way things are, I would say it's on the latter end of that, to where 9 months, it can take. One of my favorite projects, Surge Women. I always give this example because it took them 9 months of building this community to a point where they could sell out 5,000 NFTs. And they did it during the other side drop from Bored Ape Yacht Club. So
Yeah.
there was like nobody that week sold out except Surge. And it's because it took them 10 months. I want to say 10 months to build that community to a point where they felt comfortable with it. So it's just about patience. It's about getting yourself out there on social media, every avenue you can think of. TikTok is starting to really blow up in the crypto and NFT space. And just keeping stuff short, eye-catching, and to the point, because this space moves very quickly and people's attentions are next to nothing. That's why, my podcast is 15 to 20 minute episodes. You get, if you're going to post something on Twitter, it can't be this long, winded thread. It can't be this long video. It's got to be short. It's got to be eye-catching, and, just keep pushing content out.
Yeah, absolutely. I have noticed a lot recently that the sort of short form content is king.
Yeah.
Brain spans and attention spans are so short nowadays with TikTok and with Twitter being just an endless scroll and endless feed of anything that you want or anything that you subscribe to. It can be such a hard place to stand out from the crowd, catch people's eye for even just a second,
Yeah.
before you just fall into everything else.
There's thousands of influencers. There's thousands of experts. Everybody's an expert all of a sudden, and
Sure.
there's thousands of people who's got their opinions out there. So, why you have to figure out who your audience is. You have to figure out what type of community members you want, and go after that specific thing. Too many projects try to do too much in this space, and it's a lot of, there's been a lot of downfalls because of it. There was a really great project that wanted to do NFT insurance. I'm not going to name the project because they're really great people. They just tried to do too much. And they needed to stick to just that. But instead, they wanted to do a DAO and a marketplace and all these other things. And you have all this creativity, and you want to do all this awesome stuff in the space because it's wide open and anybody from anywhere around the world can get in and start to create. But you have to kind of be a little bit of tunnel vision and know what you're trying to do and just do that to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you there. Guys, if you've got any other questions, please make sure you drop them in the Q&A section just on the right hand side. We're going to be here for another 45 minutes discussing everything to do with the space, a couple of current events, things that have been happening recently as well to do with the merge and Tornado Cash as well. But kind of bringing it back to what we were just speaking about, that sort of community aspect, building a local sort of scene. It's almost like a band when they start up. They've got a very small audience, maybe in a pub or a small bar, and they've got to really expand that. Spreading that word out there can be quite dangerous, I think, because you don't want to spread yourself too thinly trying to get into every community. You also don't want to tarnish the message by spamming and being known as one of these sort of, an Elon coin, I'd say. So what's your sort of tips or the strategy that you found in the space to really spread that message without it coming across like
you're shilling?
As you're shilling, yeah.
See, that it's like a double-edged sword, because shilling can really turn people off, and it can sour your message. So patience is honestly, like, that's why it's NFT and chill, and that's why I it's like I don't even register a heartbeat over here, but it's because you got to be extremely patient in this space, and to get your message out there, push content out, push content that will, where the people you're hoping to get, tell them why they're going to benefit from being in your community, and ask questions. Like, if you're posting on Twitter or LinkedIn is also massive for Web3 now. So if you're not on LinkedIn and if you're not on TikTok, those are areas you might want to get involved in. In the last 3 or 4 months, LinkedIn has absolutely blew up for the Web3 space. So, make sure to engage with other communities, engage with other posts. Because if you want engagement, you got to give engagement to get engagement. And and try and fit in what you're doing, what your project is, the mission, where it feels comfortable. If you're in a Twitter space and people are talking about something, it's okay to drop your project or what you have going on if it's relevant. But just don't just openly shill, because that's very people. I get people asking to come on NFT and chill, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna come on and talk about the project and all this. I'm like, well, the project is the podcast is topic based. We're providing information, we're providing education and awareness for the space. And if there's a topic like NFT royalties or the merge, come in, lend your expertise, and then at the end, or if you find a space in there, you can talk about the project. But people resonate more with that. So if you would find a chance where it's relevant, mention your project, or even in somebody else's post. If a post is really good and there's a spot where you can do it, and you might get 1 or 2 people into your community. But that's where the patience comes into play.
It's a grind. Yeah, it's absolutely a grind. That's the biggest thing that I could take away from the space is, you know,
Absolutely.
there is no real shortcut to Web3 marketing. It is a space where you've got to nurture the community. You've got to communicate with them as much as you can, and just keep the space open. You know, we live in this decentralized world that we're all trying to build in, but with that, everything's an open, sort of everything's open source, and you want the communications to kind of run alongside that, really. So, yeah,
Yeah, Web3 never sleeps. There's
no,
always morning somewhere. But the biggest thing that I always want to stress to people, and a lot of people don't say this out loud, but watch out who you're getting to do your marketing for you. And if you're hiring a marketing agency or a marketing person, make sure they know what they're doing, because there's a lot of people in the space who have done Web2 marketing for the last 10, 15, 20 years, and they see what's going on in this space. So what they do is they change their entire LinkedIn profile and all their other social medias to Web3 marketing, and that they're this expert and they have all this experience, but they've never actually done it. So just be very careful who you're getting to do your marketing, because I've seen countless projects hire the wrong people and waste a ton of money and kill the project because of it. So just, you know, I hate to do it, but people need to know that there's a lot of people out there who don't know what they're doing, but they're pretending to. So just be very careful.
sure. No, I completely agree with that. I want to shift the focus slightly to kind of your work that you're doing at the moment. Obviously, as a content creator within the space, I'm sure that transition that you've had from kind of going from the marketing side and trying to get your own project out there to kind of sitting at the other side of the desk and being the person that's kind of letting people discuss their own projects. What's that transition been like for you? Has it been one that you've seen a lot of benefit from? Have you learned a lot from the industry within that time?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy it because, marketing a project, I feel for and have a lot of respect for community builders, Discord moderators, because they play a huge part in a project as well.
Yeah,
And, those are the kind of the unsung heroes of the space. So, you know, it was a smooth transition, and I learn a lot. I try and learn something every day in this space, because there's so much knowledge and stuff that I don't know, and nobody knows it, but in its space is ever changing. So just learning little bits and reading up where you can and finding good, reliable sources to get that information, is key as well. But, to get to a point where, you discuss the content and stuff.
yeah,
I try and analyze a lot of stuff, like when is the best time to post, because you got to figure out who your community is. If you could, because Google and these analytics are great sources. So when is the best time for United States to post on TikTok? When is the best time to post on Twitter and all these other places? And then even in Europe, when is the best time in the United Kingdom to post on TikTok? So or Twitter, and try and follow those, and hopefully you get good engagement. As long as you're giving good engagement and responding to people, that's kind of what I do at the moment, and just
yeah,
creating quality content.
yeah, absolutely.
And I
No,
really
there's
do.
no.
I love educating. I've done a lot of work with educational organizations and like women's onboarding groups and stuff like that is huge, because the space needs more new people, and those new people need to have knowledge, and they need to have the tools to be safe in the space.
Absolutely, and a different point of view. It's so important to have people from every background to make the space work, because ultimately we're all in this together in this space. We're all trying to build it into something far bigger than it already is, and I think sort of it can be a bit of a wild west out there. It's a
Yeah.
little bit similar to the dot-com boom, and how do you sort of separate the good players in the space from the bad actors? What are your sort of tips on that?
Yeah, that's great. Because there's a lot of both, and you find that in any industry. And the media and news outlets love negative. So to separate yourself, you really have to, like, I'm going to keep saying it, but being patient and taking your time in the space. Most of the people who get scammed or get taken advantage of in the space, it's because they're moving too fast. It's, FOMO is a hell of a drug,
Yeah.
and something I try not to subscribe to, because this space is young, and there's so many opportunities still to be had. There's so many opportunities going on right now. So there's no need to move at 100 miles an hour, click the wrong link, you know, all of that. I mean, that is, I would say, 95% of the time that somebody gets scammed or something like that is because they moved too fast and they were like, I have to get this done because Bored Ape is dropping a new collection, which they're not.
No, no,
um,
absolutely. No,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. It can be so crazy. It really can. I think kind of you mentioned obviously the educational side of things. Obviously, that's always been our sort of thesis is bringing the Web 2 world into Web 3 or Web
Yeah.
2.5, however you want to call it. And it can be a very sort of daunting thing for people. The other side of the business is on UX and UI, which is something that a lot of the Web3 space has been, sort of needing for a long time now. One thing that's sort of been coming around recently, and we've just been talking about sort of bad actors and the in terms of sort of sort of theft within the space and everything that's kind of happened. The Tornado Cash news has really sort of dominated every headline kind of across every website, and it's quite a scary thought really for a lot of people. But a lot of people are torn within the space, and I can kind of see both sides of the coin. I'm sure you can as well. Would you mind? You're a lot more educated within the space. Would you mind just giving a quick background of what sort of happened so far with the SEC and the sanctions that have been put on them?
Yeah. So Tornado Cash, I mean, what it does is kind of what the name of it is. If you're making a transaction or a payment, it goes into kind of this like tornado, and
It's a crypto blender.
yeah, it's a blender. So what it does is it gives the sender, um, I'm trying to explain it to where it's like VPN. So instead of like when you send something, it kind of puts it in a blender and doesn't reveal who the address that it was sent from, and it allows anonymity and privacy. So the SEC doesn't like it because they think there is vulnerabilities to it, but then there's also implications where people could misuse it, for get around maybe taxes or nefarious things. Yeah, there, I guess both sides of the argument are true. I mean, the SEC does have a certain point, but it's like, do we make all these things because of the small percentage of people are going to do with it? And I don't think that's right. So
No.
it's going to be interesting to see regulation from every standpoint in the space, even the NFT royalties things that's going on right now.
Yeah,
Certain
absolutely.
marketplaces, because like the actual contract of an NFT can't enforce royalties, and it's up to the marketplaces to do that. So, you know, I believe that a creator should get royalties because you know what? It doesn't really change the price. 2%, 3%, 4%. Um, if that's not being in there, the price is still going to be 0.05 ETH.
Yeah,
And the marketplace is probably going to take more if the artist isn't getting the royalties.
of
So,
course.
in Web 2, music artists get royalties, but art, real physical artists don't. But we don't have to be like Web 2. Web 3 should be its own thing. So it is going to be interesting to see how all of this regulation and stuff plays out. I keep a very positive mindset on all of it.
Yeah.
Um, But there's just so many nuances, especially with the royalty thing, because with intellectual property, if I sell an NFT where the intellectual property comes with it, then who gets the royalties after that? And we're also on a global scale now, so I think eventually the powers that be and these governments are going to have to start creating policy and regulation worldwide instead of just within their own country, because now Web3 is everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. But I know exactly what you're saying. I saw a lot of things happening with the Tornado Cash, and CoffeeZilla did a great video,
Yeah.
talking about it. He always comes from the more sort of a different point of view than most, I'd say. He discussed sort of, I understand kind of the scams and how that can affect things. People almost using it as a money laundering tool. So it really is interesting, and it's definitely one that is going to sort of take over the space, I think, over the next few weeks. And like you just mentioned, the royalty side of things, it can be such a daunting question, because this is really going to separate one marketplace from another at the end of the day. And I think people will now see an opportunity as builders to create a platform that is maybe a little bit more fairer and really more equal, and see themselves as an opportunity to really take over a market share, which is going to be really interesting over the next few months, especially for these marketplaces. We've had a question come in from Renz Isadiro, who's explained that now that the NFTs and cryptos are crumbling, we are optimists here, but okay. How does it impact the way that you market your projects, and how does it impact the community based on your observation?
That's a great question.
Yes.
If you looked at the market as a whole, and goes probably the last 3 months, I would say 99% of projects have been on a downtrend and have been in the red each day, 24-hour volume and floor price and all of that.
Sure.
So it's not just the biggest thing is, if you are a community member and you believe in that project, you believe in the team, you believe in its mission, you just kind of am I back? Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
You just kind of have to just kind of be patient, because it's not just your project that's happening to. Even Bored Ape Yacht Club is down.
Yeah.
So when in terms of what you said, you have to be able to engage your community. The community that you have right now is absolutely priceless. Those people that have been there with you since what's been happening the last 3, 4, 5 months, and they've been with you maybe since last year. Those people are your most important asset, and you have to keep them engaged. And whether that's with POAPs, doing some kind of POAP, because those are free to create and also free to mint. You can figure something out with that. Twitter Spaces. There's games in Discord. You can set up poker tournaments. Just finding ways to keep the community you have engaged. Hopefully, you get some new people. That is extremely difficult right now, but and continue to build and try and innovate for the future when the bull market comes back. That's the best way you can do it right now, because the people you have, they obviously are there for a reason, and they believe in what you're doing. So keeping them engaged is your biggest priority.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree. Great question, Renz. I appreciate that one.
Yeah.
We were talking about the future just now, and you just mentioned it there. And obviously, we can't not discuss the merge. It's taking over everything that we've sort of that's happened before. In your opinion, how do you think it will affect the end user? People like me who aren't builders within the space or users. How will it affect me? Going forward from from a token perspective, from a gas fee perspective, from a geological perspective. What are the effects that it can have on my wallet?
Absolutely. I personally, I am a big proponent of Ethereum. Somebody named me the Ethereum Crusader.
Well, I like it. I like
Yeah.
it.
So in terms of the merge, I think it's great. What the merge will do is it's basically taking care of the energy consumption issue. We are going from proof of work and we're moving to proof of stake. So those energy intensive mining, that's going to be done with, and the energy usage is going to go down 99%. With a little bit of room, but
Yeah.
that's going to make Ethereum green. And so, like, these companies and just people all over the place who had an issue with the energy usage, they no longer have that issue. So, and what the best part about it is those people who are mining, what they do with the rewards they get for mining, they cash out. So
Yeah.
it takes a ton of selling pressure away from Ethereum, and it also makes Ethereum to where it's deflationary.
Yeah.
So all of these things are really great for the Ethereum network. Just the fact that you don't have thousands and thousands of miners cashing their rewards out each month takes so much selling pressure off of Ethereum. So that's one of the biggest things. And then, Ethereum is just going to keep innovating. Once the sharding comes within the next year, that's going to take care of the gas fee issue, which we really haven't had too much of because
No.
of,
Yeah.
it's kind of the transactions have slowed down. But what sharding will do is it takes that, because everything right now, all the transactions on the Ethereum network go through one beacon chain. And what sharding is going to do is going to take that one chain and split it into tens of thousands of chains, all of which can process tens of thousands of transactions simultaneously. So, the gas fees are a function of block space demand. So once that block space goes, you know, is has there's tens of thousands of block spaces, gas fees will be non-existent.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
Transactions will be so much quicker to it. Hopefully it will get to a point where they're faster than credit card transactions. So I'm very bullish on the future of Ethereum. Then there's the Spellbound token, which is, what we've been talking about with NFTs, to where you can have your driver's license, your birth certificate, your college diploma, all these things. So, and Vitali is a very smart individual. He's very involved. I'm very bullish on the future of Ethereum, but there's
Yeah.
definitely, in the short term, especially around the time of the merge, we're definitely going to see probably another little dip. I don't think we're out of the woods yet
No.
on the dips, and I don't think we still probably have another 6-9 months of this type of market until we come back. But once we come back, it's going to be with a vengeance. So you know, the outlook looks great long
It
term.
does.
In the short term, there might be a little bit of a trap, so just watch out for that. If you can take profits, take them. But we're in a good spot with Ethereum.
No. Yeah, I think I agree. It's going to be a whirlwind sort of few months, year or so now, kind of in the run up to it. It's obviously great for the end user in terms of gas fees. It's great for everyone who's building on Ethereum and on the network. Why do you think? Obviously, I was going to say as well, it's great for the planet too,
Yeah.
which is the other side of things as well. Why do you think that the foundation have now decided that this is the time that we're going to use to make this switch? I know they said something along the lines of we're changing the engine mid-flight, upgrading the engine mid-flight,
Yeah.
which is a great. I like the thought, but why do you think now is the right time? Is it the market in particular? Do you think it's something to do with sort of the way that Bitcoin's kind of being projected, or what is
No,
the
personally, all right. it's been in the Ethereum white paper forever. And it's just the Ethereum network is a very big, complex organism, I guess you could say. And it's just taken them to the point now where all these test nets have been completed, and it is just the time that they got this stuff done, the progression. And yeah, like you said, they're changing it out mid-flight because the Ethereum network has never shut down, and that's another thing. It's reliable, it's safe, and people will pay for safety and reliability. But yeah, what it does is there is a block where the merge is scheduled. So that's why like the 15th, 16th, 18th, like that block is sitting there for the merge and it's moving along. Once that block hits, the merge will happen. So that's where we're at. And I one more thing, if anyone sees threads or people that are flooding where they
These two.
say, yeah, you have
Yeah.
to do something with your NFTs, you have to do something with your Ethereum for this merge. They're either engagement farming or they're trying to scam. You don't have to do anything with your Ethereum or your NFTs for the merge. Um, there are going to be people out there that are going to be trying to scam and things like that. You just have to be patient, double check what you're doing, and just be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. I have seen a few tweets already people trying to shill ETH2 and these sort of tokens. They don't exist.
Yeah.
Everyone that's watching, they don't exist. It is not part of the network. It is just someone who's trying to scam you, pump and dump, all that sort of horrible stuff that we hate around here. Okay, well, we're sort of wrapping up now. I've got a couple of sort of quick fire questions for you that we like to ask a lot of people around here. I've mixed them up a little bit because obviously we speak to a lot of marketing people. You're a podcast host. So my first one is, who's your dream podcast guest?
That's a great question. Okay, so this is another thing. Like, people love to follow influencers and celebrities and retweet their tweets, like it, comment. That's all fine and great. But my favorite thing about this space is the sub communities, the people who are supporting each other, the artists that are supporting other artists, and the smaller people like myself. Anybody can get in, but they need support from the community to be able to get to the heights of celebrities or influencers. So if you retweet Elon Musk's tweet, he's not even gonna see it. He won't even know who you are or any of that. But if you retweet an artist who has a small community, I mean, that's like the greatest thing to that person. When I get retweets, I it's incredible. So supporting each other and people that you think are great in this space that might not have all the clout or celebrity status is the biggest thing. So when people ask me that, I mean, I'd love to get Vitalik on the show. That's probably my dream thing. But other community members, that's who inspire me.
No, absolutely. I love that. I think that's great. We've just had a question come in. I know we're sort of wrapping things up, but it's discussing about onboarding and sort of the Web2 utility side of things. Nathania has said, how important do you think that the onboarding process has to be? What's your take on incorporating Web2 utilities into Web3 or simplify it for newcomers? And should we be moving towards complete decentralized platforms?
Awesome question.
I like the question. I love the question. Thank you, Nathania.
Yeah, let me break that up. So there is a lot of decentralization. People that are platforms, whatever, what have you, projects, companies that are pretending to be decentralized or say they're decentralized. We even saw that with Voyager, and look at what happened with them. They weren't decentralized. The people they lended to defaulted, and now every single person on that platform lost their money. So decentralization is so important, because look at Uniswap. Uniswap did incredible during the crash, during all of this, because they're actually decentralized. So yeah, decentralization is wildly important. There is a decentralized social media app called Logcast, which I just joined a couple days ago. They were Lenny was at the
Lovely
Global.
Lenny, yeah, and Lenny Andronikos, yeah, non-fungible memories.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, decentralization. We need it. We need it more than anything right now because um, we don't have a lot of actual decentralization. Now back
No.
to the onboarding part. Onboarding is critical in this space because we need new people. We need this to become mainstream, and finding the right tools can sometimes be, it's not one size fits all. So if you see somebody who's not as tech savvy, maybe you need to go a different route with them. Incentivization is a great tool, but like you said, um, molding Web 2 and Web 3 to get people on board is huge. There's a company called Co-Write. They were on my podcast, but what they do is music. So they're kind of like a record label. They do a lot in Web 2, but they take some of that Web 2 and they incentivize, like, add another step that is a Web 3 step to, you can do all this in Web 2, but if you want this extra thing, it's a Web 3 thing and you can do it. So it's kind of like incentivizing them in just baby steps. Throwing around non-fungible token, blockchain technology is daunting for a lot of people. So it's a difficult thing, but I think it's literally finding who these people are and what they need for their onboarding tools.
Yeah,
If
and I
that
think
helps, I'm sorry.
yeah, no. I completely agree
But
with you.
incentivizing and kind of meshing it, like, hey, you can mint this artwork. You don't have to call it an NFT, and you don't have to buy crypto. You can use your credit card because there's a company called Crossmint that if you're an NFT project, if you have a website, if you are a marketplace, they can incorporate credit card payments with your Web3 brand, product, whatever, NFT. So they don't have to go all the way. Hey, you can grab this NFT and you can use your credit card. You don't have to purchase cryptocurrency. That's a great way too. And after you explain the benefits of having that NFT.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And this sort of like we mentioned the Web 2.5 sort of space earlier. It is something that I think will be a slow process. Who knows how long it will take before my parents, grandparents will be able to download and use a wallet, the same way that I can as a tech savvy 20 something. It's a difficult process, but it's one that we're going to have to get through. And in terms of the use cases, I've seen some fantastic ones recently with Rolex, really interesting ones, especially in the sort of digital space as well. So a lot is happening, and it can be quite a crowded space, and it can be quite a daunting space. So great question.
The best Web3 stuff is when the user doesn't know it's Web3.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
If you can do that, you're ahead of the game.
Absolutely, yeah. If you don't realize that you're part of the space when you are, then
that's what we need to get to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know Florida here where I'm at, we're trying to incorporate NFT voting, and 99% of the people who will go to the voting booth and do it won't know they're in Web3. So that's a great thing right there.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that's a really interesting concept, and the soulbound tokens as well. There's so much that I think of. Sort of the RFID, or biometric sort of side of things, where you can access a country, the country can access all of your information. As scary as that seems, as long as you're a normal, sane person, then it doesn't really. It shouldn't be an issue. Yeah. Be the right person, do the right thing, and there shouldn't be an issue whatsoever. Renz has come in with another question about ETH. Where do you see it compared to Sol and ADA?
Okay, great question. I do like ADA.
Yeah.
Personally, I am not the biggest fan of Solana. It's not the most reliable of networks. It constantly goes down. So, you know, these alternatives to ETH it's difficult because, once the merge happens, there's no longer an alternative for energy. And once the sharding take place, there's gonna, what is the your identity is the alternative to ETH. That's going to be kind of rough after these updates come through. So I think Solana needs to have an identity. If they don't want to become an L2, they need to figure out a niche like Tezos. Tezos did a
Yeah.
great has done incredible with their marketing and becoming the art very art centric, small works, one in ones. It's a very artist community at Tezos, and they did a great job with that identity. I think Solana needs an identity other than the alternative to ETH, because that's not going to do so well within a year or two.
No, absolutely.
And they need to fix the damn network. I think it went down 8 times last January. So, you know,
Yeah.
get an identity, find a niche in a hurry.
Yeah, Tezos done great. I think Chili's have done great as well.
Yeah.
The sort of fan engagement portal that they're trying to create, especially in sports, and I think that's such a useful sort of tool for this kind of global adoption. The stuff that they're doing with the football teams across Europe is a really interesting use case, I think. So, yeah, really, really cool to see. Really, really cool to see. We'll sort of wrap this up now. It is obviously getting recorded and it'll be posted all over our social media. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to shill yourself, if that's all right. Let us know anything that you've got to announce, any upcoming guests or any cool things that are happening within your space.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will be at DecentralCon during Art Basel Week. That's the end of November in Miami. That's one of the biggest Web3 events. So that'll be awesome. But, the podcast is available on almost every platform where you can hear podcasts. So, if you want to subscribe to that, that would be much appreciated. And, our socials, you can find my link tree. We got a whole bunch of social channels that are pumping out, education. And I would love requests to do videos. If there's something you want to know more about or want an opinion or anything like that, so you can follow our socials. We have some great guests. I try not to give too much away, but we do have some really cool guests and some awesome projects that are pretty innovative that are coming in the next few weeks. Yeah. So that'll be pretty exciting.
Awesome. No, really happy that you've.
And the giveaway.
Oh, of course. Let's not forget about a giveaway. Yeah, if you're a member of our Discord, which I hope most of you guys are, you have seen our admin Strength Kitty has been posting about it all day. Our best question from this afternoon is going to be a feature on your podcast. Tell us a little bit more about the prize itself.
Yeah. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna ask your question on the next few episodes to either the guest and myself are going to answer it, and I'm also going to give you a shout out on the show too. So that episode will probably be heard by 150,000 people worldwide, so you'll get a cool little shout out on the show and your question answered by me and my guest. So I think that's pretty awesome. And I'll also tag you in some posts too.
Do my questions count? Do I get a chance to be on the?
No.
Oh God! Brilliant, Ty. Really appreciate you hopping on with us today. Thank you everyone for joining, and look forward to our next one. Yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you everyone so much for tuning in, and everybody who watches afterwards. That's been amazing, and all these little emojis down there have been really helpful as well. So, thank you.
Beautiful, fantastic. Really appreciate your time. See you later, guys.